Hi, welcome to the Retirement Railroad Matinee Modeling Tip of the Day. I'm Steve, and this is part 4 of Scratch Bash Fever. I forget what episode of Building Chicago. So in the first episode, we looked at utilizing extra parts from kits. Alright, and then we utilized those parts, assembled them, painted them, weathered them, into a facade and scanned them. Okay. In part 2, we built a building using the scan, or at least one of the scans, adhered onto some MDF that had been cut away from window openings, etc. And so we built a scratch-built MDF-based building, utilizing the scans off of those kits. Part 3, we looked at, that piece that we scanned, we added some sidewalls and a roof and some backing to it and lighting and made a background building. Okay. Part 4, we're going to kind of complete the circle, so to speak, and make a flat, a background flat. So the first thing we want to do is bring up the file that we scanned originally. All right, here we go. And you see this. Now this is already sized. It's blown up a little bit, but scale-wise, it's sized to what the actual kit was, building-wise. So I'm going to go ahead and print this off. And one thing I will say is use a thin paper if you're backlighting. Use a cardstock if you're not. And the reason being, the thinner paper will allow the light to permeate through a little bit better. That's the lesson I learned from part 2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and print this. Except I printed the wrong printer. Let's try this again. Okay, hang tight. I'll be right back and we'll take a look at it. Alright, so I've got the print. I will simply cut this out. Alright, and then we'll take a look at making our flat. Stay tuned. So for cutting this out, you can pick your own poison. Your weapon of choice, an X-Acto, a utility knife, or a pair of scissors. Alright, and since this is thin, I'm going to use a pair of scissors. Zip right through it. I could even take it onto a paper cutter and do some quick slices. I do have a paper cutter, but as a matter of fact, let's go get the paper cutter and do it that way. Hang tight. Alright. With a paper cutter, it makes it pretty darn quick. Try that again. Helps to get it lined up properly, right? There we go. One thing about background or backdrop building flats, typically they are A, in the back, and B, stuff is typically in front of them, all right, blocking partial views. So these don't have to typically be perfect. Keep in mind, we want to do the best we can, but you know, at the end of the day, they're not the priority viewing items. All right? So hang tight, and we'll get around to the foam core. All right, so I've gotten into my bin of scraps, and I'm always looking to utilize scraps before I bust into a new piece. And if I set this thing properly, I can get this onto this piece of scrap just barely. Right there. Okay. One of the keys when dealing with foam core, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's some jagged edges along here. That's due to a dull knife blade. All right, and this blade here is old, so we're going to replace it. And it won't take much time to do. Finally loaded one. Tip of the day, put a new blade in. You can see how dilapidated this blade is. Dispenser tool does have a place to put new blades. That didn't work so good now, did it? Let's come from the other side. Alright, so we got our foam core, we got our printout. Now all we have to do is put some spray glue, spray adhesive on here, and adhere this, weight it down flat, and let it dry. Okay. So hang tight. Well, let me go get the spray glue. Let you see what I'm gonna use, and then I'll take it outside to actually spray. All right. As far as adhesive goes, I use spray adhesives. I imagine you could probably use a glue stick or some other things. And I have 3 different spray adhesives. I've got heavy duty Gorilla Glue. I've got 3M 90 strength heavy duty and general purpose 45 from 3M. The 45 is what I use on making trees and bushes and that kind of stuff, simply because it's much thinner. If you use either one of these, it comes out really thick and it's not good, in my opinion, for scenery. Okay, but for a flat, yeah, they work. All right, so I'm gonna go outside. Let's see which can is fuller. Gorilla Glue. I'll probably use it. Hang tight. All right, so use the Gorilla Glue. Got it on the foam core. Now to press it. Put on some books. All right, hang tight. Actually, our next tip of the day is how to properly watch glue dry. I'll edit this out. All right, while I'm sitting here watching a glue dry, I got to thinking. So, you know, one nice thing, we can add some lighting to this flat. And there's numerous different ways, different types of lighting that we can do. I had another printout here that the colors just didn't turn out right on. What I could do is cut away in advance the foam core behind it and drop in some LEDs to shine through thinner paper. All right, that's one way. One of the things I like about Nick over at PGH Train Fanatic and his the flats that he makes is he adds LEDs to them. And I've got some over in Berwyn, Cicero area, and I'll bring that up real quick. Okay, all those flats back behind these trees actually have LEDs on them, and in the nighttime shots, they light up real nice. So, Alexa, lights off. All right. So, if we look at this, this building here, you can see my hands, maybe not. And over here, those are all LEDs in Nick's flat. So we can do something similar and with this flat that we're making. And in the nighttime scene here, the Loop, or the downtown area, this actually isn't in the Loop, but the downtown area of Chicago, once business, in the 60s, once the business day is over, you know, activity dropped immensely, especially for storefronts. So the only light we're going to put on this building is an entryway light, but we want to add a canopy over the entryway, just like the kit, the actual kit had. All right, I'll show a picture of that here. All right, Alexa lights on. So we're gonna switch back over to this camera. And the light should come on. Alexa, lights on.
Okay.
There we go. So, in my scrap styrene pile, I found this little piece. Okay? And we're gonna make, what we're gonna do is through the foam core, which is still drying under the book, alright, we're gonna put a little hole and we're gonna feed the LED, I think this is a 2mm LED, warm white. Alright, we're gonna feed that through And we're gonna make a canopy out of this. I gotta square it up and do some things to it. But we'll basically, on the underside, put this light, okay? And we'll paint so we don't get any light bleed. Mr. John Linton. And paint it up. And I'll add a little, some channel underneath it, some small channel, to help mask the bulb from view, from direct view. Alright? And then I'll take a couple pieces of styrene tubing that I have, real fine, and glue underneath here and have it sticking out so that it can stick into the foam core. Alright? So, hang tight and we'll get all that done. Note to self, I had a problem with the nozzle. But I did get it painted. It's not the best paint job in the world, but it'll work for now. It's a background flat, right? And I don't mind it rusting on the channels, since the channels are on the downward side, and unless somebody's going to get in there with a microscope and look upwards, say, alright, so now we have the canopy. We cannot put the light on yet because it's got to be glued underneath the canopy. So we got to let that dry. We got to let the flat dry. So with that, we're gonna go do something else. Alright, so everything is dried up and we're ready for the next step. We've got the awning over the front door, which will go right here. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to simply take my very pointed tweezers, line up where I want this. And punch a hole. Okay. And I'm going to look at it and line up the other side. Punch a hole. Widen that up a little bit. Widen this one up a little bit. And that's roughly how it's going to be. Said, those have to be punched through all the way. Now I don't want to use the drill and tear up anything, okay? I just want to simply push it through. Okay. push the other side through. Okay. And as I said before, it's going to come through a little bit, so I need to shorten them up just a tad. Okay. Now we need a hole for the wire. We're going to do the same thing. Once we have the hole, we can make it big. There we go. Alrighty then. We'll test out the bulb. Make sure it works. And it does. Feed the wire through. A little bit bigger. That. Alexa, lights off. And there we have a lit flat. All right. Alexa, lights on.
Okay.
Now, let's change the camera angle. Okay, so I have not glued all the pieces together. All right. The holes are there. The canopy slips right into place. All right, the light right there. Now, to finish it, it just needs to have the putty put on between the flat and the canopy to stop the light bleed, and glued in. Okay. And it's done, ready to go. You hook the wires up to a 12-volt bus line, okay, power supply, and put it on the layout, and you're ready to go. All right. Now, I don't need this. All right, I've already done my flat from these, scans. And I'll pull it out and show you. It's part of the Chicago scene right behind me. Now, I did not like these just because of where it's at. The L train platform will be right in front of it. And we'll have some lights on it instead. Okay. So I got it back in place. All right. I think I mentioned before, Nick at PGH Train Fanatic, he has his business. He does great flats. I've got some, as I mentioned before. He uses a thicker foam core. All right. As a matter of fact, you can use black foam core, or if you use white like this, simply get your Sharpie out and put it on the edges. All right. So you don't have to sit here and watch me do that. So as I mentioned, I don't need this. So those that come on the channel regularly know that I do a live stream every Friday at 11:30 Eastern time. So this Friday, today is Easter Sunday, so this Friday, April 14th, I will be giving this away. Okay? And that's why I did not glue this on, all right, so that I can ship it to whoever wins. Easier. Okay? Much easier to ship a flat than it is something three-dimensional. So, tune in April 14th. Sometime during the stream can last anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. I will, in some random fashion, give away this flat, including the postage. All right. So, with that, I want to thank you for joining me here at the Retirement Railroad. Matinee Modeling, tip of the day. I'm Steve, and y'all have a great day. Bye now.